governments are assumed to be saddled with the responsibility of either providing the needed and necessary services or creating a conducive environment for the services to be provided. Among these services is housing, which is a basic necessity of life. Housing as an important basic necessity of human beings has been acknowledged worldwide. Inadequate accommodation is one of the major socio-economic problems facing Nigeria for several decades, just as the housing deficit in the country keeps increasing by the day. Despite this huge housing deficit, the mortgage sector has not been able to meet up with the needs of Nigerians. What can we say is exactly the problem? Welcome to Housing Development, the only program that cares about your housing needs. I am Flora Ani, your housing diva. Thanks for tuning in once again. A lot has happened over the week in the housing sector. Let's bring you up to speed on the happenings from our news desk. Stay tuned.
The Group Managing Director, Copen Group Surveyor Ugochukwu Chime, has joined experts in calling for the recapitalization of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and a rejig of the bank's governance structure and processes. Chime stated this while speaking to issues at a webinar recently hosted by HDAN, adding that when FMBN is recapitalized, the bank could then be tasked with a precondition of finding solutions to the identified challenges in the bank's operational dynamics. The expert further stated that for proper intervention to exist in the housing sector, there is the need to stop using the past as a pretext to deny some critical housing institutions the opportunity to perform in the sector. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, is working on rolling out some form of palliatives to mortgage banks, developers, and individuals in Nigeria who are affected by the economic meltdown occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of FMBN, Architect Ahmed Dangiwa, stated this at a webinar recently hosted by the Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, with theme COVID-19, Housing as a Solution, FMBN leading through the crisis. He explained that the bank is aware that the pandemic is taking its toll on all sectors of the Nigerian economy, and mortgage banks, developers, and mortgage subscribers are at the receiving end, adding that there would be need for a moratorium to assist those who have been incapacitated by the effects of the pandemic. The President, Mortgage Banking Association of Nigeria, Adeniyi Akinlusi, says the coronavirus pandemic presents the housing sector an opportunity to have a reset and chart out a new course going forward. Akinlusi said this at HDAN's recently held webinar, adding that talks are already ongoing with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to allow more mortgage banks access to NHF, adding that one of the challenges faced in the sector is the issue of titling, housing development, and affordability in terms of mortgage rates. He, however, stated that the association is working closely with the Family Homes Fund in making housing affordability possible in the country. Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, has condemned the demolition of 2 hotels by the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike in Eleme local government area of the state. In a statement signed by HDAN's president, Festus Adebayo, he said the action of Governor Wike is economically unwise and it is against the rule of law. It is wrong to be an accuser, judge, and executioner in your own case in the democratic system. Although the governor said the hotels were demolished after a violation of an executive order on COVID-19, despite warnings from the state government. HDAN, however, noted that at this time, what a good government should do is providing palliatives and supports for its citizenry businesses in an economy that has been battered by COVID-19. A credit ratings agency, DBRS Morningstar, has analyzed pandemic scenarios that include a housing price correction of between 10 and 15% by 2022. The credit rating agency's scenario anticipates some people with mortgages falling behind on payment, particularly in oil-producing provinces, where the economic shock, including fallout from efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19, would be greater. However, house price declines are expected to be sharper in cities such as Toronto, where there has been a significant run-up in prices in recent years. Even in a moderate scenario envisioned by DBRS, home prices in Canada's largest city would fall by 14%, as the agency said it was not forecasting, but rather establishing benchmarks of moderate and adverse scenarios on which to base its debt rating analysis. COVID-19. Follow these 5+1 rules and stay safe. 1. Wash your hands before you touch your face and before you eat something. 2. A minimal distance of 2 meters is generally recommended. 3. Wear a mask to protect other people and yourself. 4. Stay home. 5. Cough or sneeze in your sleeve. Use a paper tissue or your sleeve and not your hand. Finally, please stay calm. Together we will succeed. This message is from the Abuja International Housing Show, the largest housing event in Africa. Stay safe, we will succeed.
For more housing news stories, visit www.africanhousingnews.com. Mortgage finance is a cornerstone of housing construction. This implies that the implementation of housing development is contingent largely on the availability of mortgage finance. In recent years, most Nigerians have still not been able to access home loans. Why is this so? What are the challenges faced by Nigerian mortgage sector? A mortgage service consultant will take us through the challenges. Take a look.
A mortgage is a legal agreement that allows you to borrow money from a bank or building society at a specified interest rate in order to buy or build a house. Interest rates on mortgage loans in Nigeria range from 15% to 25% per annum, excluding fees and other charges. The question which comes to mind is, with this sort of interest rate, can low-income earners honestly afford to take up a loan? There are a number of challenges affecting the mortgage industry in Nigeria. According to this mortgage services consultant, Mr. Fonohami Idris, getting access to mortgage finance by low-income earners has become a challenge because of setbacks faced in the sector.
The capital base, the low capitalizations of the mortgage sector, as we speak, as of December, we have about 34 in the entire country. That is on board, that is active, based on CBN announcement as of December 2018. And out of those 34, we have less than 10 who you can find in the entire country, Nigeria. So it means by that, getting access to the so-called mortgage financing by the low-income people will be a challenge.
Mortgages were specifically designed to make home ownership more affordable to the average Nigerian, but so far that hasn't been achieved with the Nigerian mortgage system due to laws mitigating the growth and development of the mortgage sector.
There are a lot of other laws mitigating the development and growth of the mortgage sector. And all of this has been sent for several years into the National Assembly, but the politics around it have not let it see the light of the day. So the mortgage bankers are playing their own politics. We give lip service to mortgage that let's bring the poor out of poverty, but they are not seriously working on this.
On the way forward, Fonahomi says there is need to work around the various acts militating against the growth of the sector and also require accountability from players in the sector.
They should work on those people who come under lip service. They are there for the masses. They should seriously be in the lookout for them. Coming under the guise that give us land, we will build for the masses. It has never worked.
With sound policies, better data and increased access to affordable credit, it is believed an enabled housing market can increasingly provide housing that the average household in Nigeria can afford, reduce crime rate, and create jobs.
My name is Robert Hornsby with American Home Builders of West Africa. Keep watching Housing Development Program.
Once low-income earners can comfortably access mortgage in Nigeria, there will be some level of progress in our quest for meeting up housing demand. Still talking about mortgage, let's take you into the street to know the level of awareness the average Nigerian has about mortgage.
Into this mortgage of a thing, this is my first time of hearing it.
The word mortgage, I think I got introduced to it in movie settings. It has some legal backing to it though. I think you more like offer up your building, your house, for in exchange for probably money, most likely money. And if you don't meet up with the agreement, you get your home taken away from you or your building taken away from you. So that's why I say as mortgage.
The word mortgage is actually a financial institution or a cooperative society which help in financing projects and having houses of your own.
Buying and selling houses on loan, or buying a house on loan, or trying to acquire, to sell your own property on loan.
Okay, mortgage. I don't really know much about mortgage. I just believe in, saving towards that, save towards owning a house of your own.
My name is Tunde Reis. I'm happy to endorse the Housing Development Program. I encourage you to continue to watch the Housing Development Program.
Quite interesting, but obviously there needs to be more awareness on mortgage and how to assess it. At no time has the need for affordable mortgage in Nigeria been so deep and necessary as now, when the country, like other nations of the world, is grappling with coronavirus. Still on mortgage, here is the MD, CEO of Platinum Mortgage Bank Limited, as he takes us through the processes of obtaining mortgage loan from his bank.
My bank has over 18 branches across the country, creating mortgages for civil servants across the geopolitical zones of the country. What we have been doing in over 10 years now, helping this average civil servant in Nigeria to own their own home. And then that is why we are the largest trading partner of the Federal Mortgage Bank. Federal Mortgage Bank is a custodian of the funds generated by the National House of Funds, for which the civil servants in Nigeria are contributing 2.0% of the basic salary contributed to the National House of Funds. And our understanding is that the civil servants are meant to have access to this pool of funds in assessing their homes through us. And this is what we have been doing all over the country. And we have done it to the best of our knowledge and capacity.
As a sensitive, customer-centric bank, we went back to the drawing board to put together a product that would guarantee a customer, someone who intends to own his house through mortgage, a product that will guarantee him access to his property within the space of 48 hours, which is the shortest possible time for which one can process a mortgage. So we came up with Platinum Fast Track Mortgage, which is a product that guarantees every intending homeowner who walks into our bank and wants to access a mortgage, the product guarantees him access to his property, his desired property, within the space of 48 hours from the time he meets all the conditions that are required to access the mortgage. There are two aspects of conditions to be met if you intend to own a house through mortgage. First of all is the down payment, which is the equity requirement, which varies from property to property depending on the cost of the property, And then there's also a list of requirements that, in terms of documentation, that you need to meet before you can be guaranteed access to the property. 21 years and above, we need to be sure that you work, and by that you have a regular source of income, whether you're a government worker, civil servant, a business person, you own your own business and all that. We need to be sure that you have a regular source of income as to be able to repay the mortgage. And then, of course, we need to be sure that you can afford that mortgage that you're asking for, that it's within your capacity to repay every month. So we request for various documents to verify this, the age, income, and then your capacity. By that we can ask for your pay slip for 6 months if you're someone who works in a structured organization, and then we can also ask for your statement of account for business people who do their own business, self-employed individuals. So there are other documents which will be required of you for the mortgage to be processed, and once those two conditions are met, the down payment requirement and the documentation requirement, you're well on your way to owning your own home.
I'm Leilani Farha, the UN Special Rapporteur, and I hope you'll keep watching the Housing Development Program.
You're watching Housing Development. Welcome back. You're still watching Housing Development. The Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, has engaged the Family Homes Fund Limited on some of the plans and strategies lined up for action in affordable housing and job creation amidst and after the coronavirus pandemic. HDAN, during a webinar held on the 5th of May with the theme Family Homes Fund, Mitigating the Impact of COVID-19 with New Homes and Jobs for Low-Income earners beams searchlight on the activities of Family Homes Fund in recent times and the future of affordable housing and job creations for low-income earners in Nigeria. Take a listen.
COVID-19 is dealing a huge blow to the global economy, including that of Nigeria. As a result of this crisis, the housing deficit in the country could be made worse, as there are job losses and Nigeria's financial profile at the moment doesn't seem attractive for private developers to build more houses. With an ambitious agenda to build up to 500,000 houses in 5 years for low-income earners, how is Nigeria's social housing institution, Family Homes Fund Limited, affected? Stakeholders and experts in the housing sector have suggested possible ways through which affordable housing and job creation can be achieved in Nigeria through the Family Homes Funds. The managing director of the fund, Femi Adewale, speaking during a recent webinar organized by the Housing Development Advocacy Network, confirmed that although the current situation of things seemed to pose a constraint, the fund is working assiduously on a program that will promote the use of localized input in the housing and construction sector, while also creating massive opportunities for employment.
We are working to ensure that we manage this situation, and we are operating a program called, we call it the 4 levers. And the primary objective of that is essentially to localize the input into the construction or the housing sector in Nigeria.
While commenting on issues around housing affordability and FHF's strategic focus in Nigeria, Dr. Banke Abejiri, Head Strategy and Business Performance, FHF, explained that talks are already ongoing with different partners and players in the sector to chart out courses on how to pull down the cost of housing delivery.
We're working with the Nigerian Institute of Architects to see about bringing about standardized house designs, and also with other stakeholders in the field on bringing about a standard bill of quantities. This would help to bring down the general cost of housing.
We have this product called the Help to Own product, and it's a retail mortgage hybrid product. It's a product that we have created, and we have gotten buy-in and actually even signed off partnerships with a number of commercial banks and primary mortgage institutions.
The founder and chief executive officer of First World Communities, Brigadier General Tunde Reis, retired, stated that for success to be achieved in the housing sector, there is the need for government to regulate the industry and create an enabling environment, while the managing director of the Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company, Kehinde Ogundimu, emphasized the need for states to pass the model mortgage foreclosure law in order to attract investments and create a secondary market for the housing sector.
Only government can effectively regulate. Government needs to create this industry. Government needs to bring about regulation so that it can bring about trust.
Every state has realized that one of the ways in which you can empower your people, you can unlock the capital tied down in assets, is through the passage of this law. And so I would say that we are making very good progress, and you will be seeing the results in the not too distant future.
If you want successful delivery of affordable housing in Nigeria, it has to be done to scale. We need to have institutions that function, and the resources behind them has to be sustainable.
The experts believe that strategic partnerships on programs and policy implementation will foster affordable housing delivery while also creating massive employment opportunities in the country, and FHF is better positioned to working things out.
A very insightful webinar there organized by Housing Development Advocacy Network. Now there is this message in our mailbox from Mr. Solomon. He says, I worked and retired recently and I contributed to the National Housing Fund, but I couldn't get a loan from the mortgage bank to develop a house. Now the question is, the fund is between my former employer and the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. How can I get back my savings or get a house? Now that message is from Mr. Solomon, and we're calling on the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to look into his plight and let us know the way forward. The right to occupy a decent shelter is paramount, and the availability of decent and affordable housing should be given utmost importance in the nation. On that note, I call it a wrap on today's edition of Housing Development. Thanks for keeping a date. Know that you can watch today's edition and previous ones via the YouTube channel Housing TV Africa. Do well to subscribe. Be part of the conversation by following Housing Development on all social media platforms. I remain Flora Ani, your housing diva. I'll see you soon. Do stay safe.